Hello, everybody. This is an unscheduled test of the broadcast system. Right, what it is, I've been playing around all evening. I've had to sacrifice my prom tonight to try and work out what is going on with this camera here. And from what I can tell, there's a preference setting in my Prime account on the MacBook, and it's not doing it. It's not doing it at all. I've tried resetting it. I've tried deleting the preference file. I've tried clearing OBS off of my MacBook, but not a sausage. So I've had to kind of like go back and start again, really. So I'm hoping everybody can hear me here, because I've had to go into a completely different setting on the MacBook here. So this is a temporary live just to see whether or not this is working or not. So hopefully we've got our virtual camera back, which is good news, and it's working on a MacBook. You can set up a separate account, so you can log in on a different account. This is working fine, but when I go back to the Prime account, it's not working. And there's something that's happened between OBS and the preferences on that Prime account, and you have to try and go through the whole thing to try and clear where this problem is on the preference file. So I will get it sorted out. At least I know now it's not the cable, it's it's whatever's going on with OBS on the Prime account. So anyway, look, whilst I've got you here, we may as well try again for the Buccaneer preview. Lol, after that all went pear-shaped on Sunday because of technical problems. So, and you know what? One of the biggest problems with this kit is you've got to try and get everything out and show it and everything. So here we go. Let's try again. Oh, goodness me. Here we go. A Buccaneer. And so what we have here is, now I can do it the right way around, you see, which is great. What we've got here is they've broken the kit down into forward fuselage, midsection, tail, with obviously separate pieces for the intakes and the top of the fin cap and everything. So we'll come to that as we go. So we will zoom in, because the one thing a lot of people will be wondering about is what's the surface detail like? Well, the first thing is that this is molded in a nice hard Tamiya-esque plastic, and as you can see there, that plastic really does show off the surface detail to its advantage. Obviously I'm going to be a bit biased here because I've contributed something towards this kit and it's the home team, but I'm just going to try and be as objective as I can be subjectively. But again, you can see there where that hard plastic really has caught all that very nice rivet detail and fastener detail and everything. And I don't, I've spoken to Drew about this. I don't think this detail is as heavy as people are going to say it is. I know people are going to see videos and pictures and they're going to go, oh, Matchbox trenches. It's nothing like that at all. It honestly isn't. I mean, if I tilt the camera up there, you can see how delicate that surface detail is. So this is a real step up in terms of plastic, and I think this is molded in the UK as well, so that's good. Right, one thing that some people have commented on, and they've said, why can't you do a Buccaneer S2B from this kit, because it can only offer S2C and S2D options, and that's because of this bad boy here. This was introduced on the S2D, S2C rather than S2C it is not something that you can just do as a separate part. It's kind of semi-blends into the fuselage. The only way you could do an S2B would be to actually mold this entire forward fuselage section separately. Or if you're a modeler, kind of carve that off and do it again. But no, unfortunately, that is a detail quirk of the S2C/S2D. So that's why, a bit like the 72nd scale kit, they are specific to this version. They're not, you know, they're not designed to kind of incorporate a B into this. It would be nice if they did come back and look at a B in the future, but that's why you haven't got any early Bs in this kit. That's why you're not getting the two-tone extra dark sea grey and white schemes, because they are S2Bs. So there you go. It's that tricky little thing there that causes the problems for the different variants. So there we go. So as I say, you can just have one last look at that Bombay detail, which is absolutely glorious. So yep, there we go. Like I say, separate fin cap there, which will become crucial as we start looking at other variants and things. And also, one final thing is the intake rings are done separately, so you can paint them in a nice bright metallic color and then just super glue them on afterwards. Cockpit tub is there somewhere. Lol, live video, everybody. There it is. Cockpit tub, which is, it's got molded shapes, and you've got the panels actually have molded detail and they drop on there. That's a very Tamiya-esque kind of touch there, and you can see there the same with the panel there. There are molded details, but then things like the screens and everything are obviously flat because you just drop a decal in there. So there we go. And then finally on this section, finally, then we have the air brakes, and there they are. And again, there is some very, if I tilt the camera up, you can see there's some very delicate detail on them, rivets and things. So definitely molding this in a better quality plastic instantly improves the look of the kit, I think. So there we go. And some of you will have this kit now yourselves, so by all means chip in with your own, you know, with your own impressions. We will leap on, because I'm going to try and keep this very short tonight, which means I'll probably be on for about 45 minutes, knowing me. Then we have the sprue with the wings, and the wings are molded so that you can fold them or you can have them in straight and level. The straight and level aspect comes from these kind of like brackets here, which go inside the wing. It'll become obvious when you start going through the construction sequence. Again, attention has to be drawn to the very delicate surface detail here with all these kind of rivets and things on the wings. That is quite beautifully done, and on the control surfaces as well. You can see there, that is really, really quite delicate. So yeah, again, that's one of the benefits of having a higher quality plastic. There we go. Oops, Daisy, not that way. That's too far, JM. And we've got the flaps are separate here. We've got here, I'm just going to go through here. You've got the flaps are separate. We've got parts of the air brake. We've got refueling probe, wing fold details, and what have we got there? Control surface. Yeah. So all this is pretty much common between the S2Cs of the Royal Navy and the S2Ds that were operated by the Royal Air Force later on. So that's a common sprue. Should there be a Royal Air Force boxing coming from Airfix? Obviously, I can't say, but as always, you people will be looking at these sprues and you will be doing your own detective work. So here we go. Here we have a sprue here, which is going to be for the navalized versions. So you've got the flat Bombay, you've got sneb pods, you've got the slipper tank, you've got the Royal Navy pylons as well, and crucially, you've got that fin cap as well, which is which is for the early Navy for the Navy variants. And we've got some other detail bits and pieces there as well. We've also got, those are for the pylons, those go on the side of the pylons, and you've got the Royal Navy style arrestor hook kind of fairing there as well. So that's that. Let's rattle on. Let's rattle on. Then we have this sprue, which is, again, this is more generic. This covers kind of like, you know, in theory, this covers RAF and Royal Navy versions. And again, you've got some gubbins there for the intakes. You've got jet pipes there. You've got the intake fans there. Unlike the 1994 kit, there are a lot of internal stiffeners for this kit. So you haven't got two large fuselage halves, upper and lower, which are flopping around. And that, you know, I built 4 of those Buccaneers. I could build them because I had a technique for building them, but they weren't the easiest kits to build because for one reason or another, they didn't put any internal strengthening. And you had 2 fuselage halves that were just like this all the time. So that's a step forward. We've got the nose gear bay there. We've got more bits of the cockpit there. We've got a partially exposed engine, which you can cut out. We can cut out because there's cutaways on the inside of the intake itself. We've got 2 different styles of air brake here, closed and open, and 2 pilots. So yeah, that's that sprue there. Sprue B. Sprue B or not Sprue B? That is the question. Right, then going back to Royal Navy specific bits and pieces, we've got we've got various odds and ends here now. I'm just going to get the instructions so I can get my nomenclature correct because I always get these things muddled up. So shouldn't you know that's off by heart, JM? You worked on this kit. Yeah, you think I would, but I've had a day trying to get OBS to work, so you know, my brain is a bit fried at the moment. So what we have here, we've got Martel, the TV Martel anti-shipping missiles, which are these things here. Then we've got the Martel AS-37 anti-radiation missiles, which are the pointy ones. Then we've got the Martel TV guidance data link pod, which is this thing here that looks like a bomb, but it isn't. Then we've got you got more of the slipper tanks there. Then we've got 1,000-pound retarded bombs, and we have again we've got specific pylons for the Royal Navy versions. Rather neatly, in order to swap the differences between the Martel anti-shipping missile and the Martel anti-radiation missile, they've molded these fins at a preset angle. Then these bits just drop into these panels here. So that should, in theory, it means you're not trying to set individual fins in place, and it should speed up production. We've also got the, like I said, the 1,000-pounders there, and yeah, pretty good that. It all looks rather nice. And again, this is something I always look to on kits because it's sometimes something that just gets a little bit skimped. It's things like pylons, and they've gone for again some very nice detail on the pylons. If we have a look at these ones here, you can see that there's some nice kind of like engraved detail and rivets and everything. So that's bonus points from me because that's the kind of thing I like to see. So there we go. We got that. And then we have, we'll get there in the end, folks. Don't worry. It's going to be a short one tonight. And then we've got 2 generic sprues, hypothetically speaking. This one here is for the ejection seats. And in fact, you've got 2 different types of observers ejection seat there. Got the interior of the main gear doors, you've got the nose gear, you've got the wheels, you've got piping for the undercarriage bays. This is what I was saying about the instrument panels and everything, because you've got panels with molded detail, which you then glue onto those onto the kind of the basic kind of panels in the cockpit. So that way you get molded detail, you get the relief, you get the depth, but where they are germane, you also get decals for some of the instruments as well. You've got the rather nice combing there with some details. And again, that's something that can be easily overlooked, but Paramjit, the designer, he's gone for some more detail there. Also, the interiors of those main gear doors as well, absolutely beautiful. That's really, really lovely stuff. And again, he's put the ejection pin things as separate stubs there, so you're not getting anything marring the detail. So that's really quite intelligent design there. There's a nice detail on the wheels, so that's that. Then we've got, this is actually my favorite sprue, which is rather weird because it's not really a kind of like, it's not the main airframe sprue. You got two different types of bullet fairings there, and for the tail cones is there, wink wink. We've also got, that's the door for the engine bay there, which you can cut out, and there's also a mask there for those of you who like to do their spraying and things. We've got crew ladders, we've got main intake blanks, and we've got engine blanks as well. And again, this could be an easily overlooked detail, but there is quite some nice molded stuff going on there. So, and there's more kind of like cabling and ducting down there as well. So that's that one. That's all for the engine and everything, whatever, if you want to pose that open. So yeah, that's an interesting sprue because of what you use in this kit, and you know what you don't use in the kit as well. And then we have the instructions. Oh, here we go. So this is like a kind of like a booklet, really. So it kind of shows you the 4 configurations that you can do, and then it shows you the things you've got to open up, and you know, etc., etc., etc. That's just kind of like technical stuff. We've got the position of internal decals. So these are decals that go down over the molded detail, or that they complement the molded detail and also take care of stuff that isn't molded, like for example instrument bezels. I prefer them to be, you know, flat spaces for decals to go on, so that's good. We've also got the different ejection seats there for the observers, of which there are actually some decals that go on them. There you go. So we're doing the cockpit and putting things together. There we go. There's the decals that go on there. We'll show them in a minute. Then we've got more bits and pieces that go on the inside of the cockpit. We've got the crew ladder, which I think is a brilliant touch. There's a lot of things in this kit which I think are kind of like they're benchmarks that I would like to see in future kits as well. You know, nice little detail touches. This is all to do with getting the engine bays together and all the detail that goes into the wheel wells as well, which is rather good. The exposed engine, should you wish to use it. Then we have the different types of bullet fairings there. We've got the control surfaces. We've got, that's putting the fuselage section together. These are the fold mechanisms if you want to do the wings folded. Anybody who built the 1994 kit will remember those wings folded on basically on a wing and a prayer. It wasn't the greatest mechanism ever. These are much more robust, but this whole section deals with if you want to do it with the wings folded. This section deals with it if you want to do the wings in the in flight configuration, of which you've got these hefty great big tabs which you lock inside the wing, and then that's it, all fits together. We've got more bits and pieces here to do with aerials and things. There's your mask if you want to expose the engine panel. Again, that's a really nice little touch. Then we've got the arrestor hook section and the mechanism for the air brake intakes with the separate rings. We've got the jet pipes, and I've got a cat jumping down here, and then I'm staging me as usual. And then we've got flaps, control surfaces. Then we got the tail surfaces there. There is our separate fin cap as well, of which there are 2 in the kit. Goodness me, what could the other one be for? There we go, 2 there. And then one's for A, one's for B, C, and D. Then we have the mechanism for the air brake, to pose the air brake open, or if you want to be lazy, you can just pose it closed. More details. Undercarriage bay, which is the bomb bay rather, which is the flat bomb bay. for the Navy and some of the early Royal Air Force aircraft, but I think they were all S2Bs. And then we've got the undercarriage, of which I think people may think, well, these legs are molded in two halves. Yeah, but I can't see how you can get around that, really, unless you mold the forks separately. That's unfortunately, that's the logistics of injection molding there. You've got the wheels there, undercarriage. Blah, 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 blah. Oh, we've also got a decal to go on the undercarriage leg there. That's a pretty neat touch, he said modestly. Then we've got the wings with the flared wing tips. And other bits and pieces there. Two different types of RWR. And then finally, the final stages of putting the pilots in. Two different types of main canopy. Two different types of windscreen, wiperless and one with a wiper. Aerial fit for the different versions, in-flight refueling probe. Then here are our stores. So we've got TV Martel anti-shipping, Martel AS-37 anti-radiation missile, Martel TV guides and later pod, Matra rocket launcher, slipper tank. We've got the Royal Navy specific pylons there. Then we've got the 1,000-pound retarder bombs. Then we've got the crew ladder. And finally, we have the intake blanks and the exhaust blanks, which have even got little handles and things. And they've even got a little note engraved on the inside to tell you which is port, which is starboard, what's top and what's bottom. So that's a very, very nice touch. This will also be very useful for people who don't like painting the insides of the intakes. And there you go. There's the final configuration of the aircraft with the wings folded. Then comes the incredibly exciting bit, probably the highlight of the kit, he said modestly. No, I'm joking. Well, then we've got the stickers, which is obviously my contribution to the whole thing. And what have we got? We've got box art one, which is S2D of HMS Ark Royal towards the end of the Buccaneer's service life on Ark Royal, and indeed Ark Royal itself. And this is extra dark sea grey with the tactical red-blue roundels. So there we go, and everything you need there. Then you've got an S2C HMS Hermes, which has got the Type D roundels. Again, overall extra dark sea grey. And that's got the Matra rocket pods. Then we have 809 Squadron. Oh, sorry, that was 801 Squadron. They've got 809 Squadron, an S2C with 1,000-pound bombs. And again, there are always variations with these on the markings they carry inside the air brakes. And finally, we have an S2C of 803 Naval Air Squadron, which is, this doesn't tend to get done a lot in kits and decal sheets and things. That's rather nice. Got these attractive checkers on there and a squadron badge there. And again, we've got 1,000-pound bombs there. We've also got decals that go on the intakes, intake blanks rather. And then finally, I promise. There we've got the decal sheet, which is printed by Cartograph. It's got a slightly glossy sheen to it, and he says modestly, the varnish is literally edge to edge because that's the way Cartograph print things. So hopefully you've got minimal varnish. You've also got where characters have like hollow centers, like the 4 and the 0. That's actually punched out on the varnish. So you're trying to get as little varnish as possible. Also, making sure that the decal isn't overly, isn't too weak either. So you got your Type D roundels, you got your tactical roundels, you got loads of stenciling. Of course, you got loads of stenciling, and then down here we've got those seat straps, which be interesting to see how they work. Actually, they're even printed with, if you can see that, they're even printed with metallic buckles. Ooh. So that's a whopping great big sheet, that. And yeah, that's I'm just checking something. Yeah, I thought it was 899 Squadron, that one. 809 Squadron, there we go. I knew I'll get it wrong. So that's it. That is the Airfix Buccaneer. That's our second stab at it this week after technical problems on Sunday. So as you can see, there is quite a lot of plastic in there. Forgot one, didn't I? The clear sprue. There we go. The clear sprue, which includes the two different types of canopy, two different types of windscreen, noses for things, blast screen, wingtips, and these wingtips. So there we go. That is the Airfix Buccaneer. Personally speaking, having built the 1994 model back in 1994, it's light years ahead of that. You would hope so, because it's nearly 30 years later. But in terms of the detail, in terms of the breakdown, just the parts count, there's a lot more parts in it, and it should prove to be very, very popular. It certainly is much easier to build, I can tell you that. So that's it. I am just going to go through some of the comments here. Once I can get there we go. I've got the oh god, Google's decided it doesn't want to play ball. Right, here we go. Just going to go through some of the comments here. Like I say, this is a pop-up tonight because I needed to see if the virtual camera was working. It is, but it's just not working in the other account on the MacBook. So we'll try and figure out what's going on there. Stuart Templeton says super box art. That, yes, it is. It's one of Adam's nice bits of box art. Yeah, Jeff Baker says S2B chaff plates. S2B was RAF. Yeah, sorry, Jeff. That's brains fried today because of doing kind of like trying to get live streams to work and everything. And what have we got here? Okay, it says it's made in India. I thought this one was made in Britain, but it's a different, made in England. But certainly it's a much higher quality plastic. So I might have got that slightly wrong. Ignore me. I only worked on the kit. I'm the last person to know these things. Sure, that's a good question from Sean. He says, "Is there enough depth on the intake fans to sand them off and do an alien machine?" Yeah, he's got my article from 96, 94 and 96. I would say yes, there is enough depth. Let me go and grab the kit parts. Clang. I'd say there is. You can, let's put the camera back on. I think you can. Obviously it's obviously not designed for this, to be an S2, sorry, an S1 rather, but I'm sure somebody enterprising will come up with a solution for it. I think it can be done, but like I say, don't quote me on that. But yeah, it looks to be. Let's put it away. Modelers always find a way, a bit like the dinosaurs in Jurassic Park. They'll always find a way. And there we go. Yeah, just seeing some of the comments here. Ray Baldwin says it sure looks like they looked at the 1/72 scale layout and then produced a more detailed 1 in 48 scale. Not a bad thing. No, not at all. I mean, that's the 72nd scale kit kind of follows the breakdown of the, not follows. It's got it echoes the breakdown of the Matchbox kit, which Drew and I said originally that's the most logical way you can break down a Buccaneer. Don't try doing it as separate top and bottom halves for the nose and everything. Do the nose as left and right halves. Do the rear fuselage as left and right halves. You have to do the wings as upper and lower parts, but then everything else, you can then bring it all together. And does the radome fold? Ray says no, it doesn't. Ray, unfortunately, there's no radar in there. So he says just go and check the instruction sheet again. I'm pretty sure you can't fold the radome, but has a quick look. Yeah, you can't fold the radome in this kit, but again, that's not going to stop enterprising modelers from doing their own thing. Yeah, because the nose cone is molded separately. They also provide, this is something Drew pointed out to me on Sunday, because I was wondering what this was. It's actually a container that you can stick nose weight in and then glue that inside the fuselage, which I think is a pretty neat touch. There we go, 15 grams. So I think that's a pretty neat touch. I'm just going through some of the other comments here. Jerry Dawes says, "I hope you don't play poker." No, God, no. Yeah, I know. Just reading some of the things here. May have been imagining it, but the seat strap decals seem a bit thicker than the others. Shouldn't be. There's no extra colours or anything in there. Will the holes in the air brake need? Will the holes in the air brake need drilling out? Again, good question. This is why I have a little Q&A here. Yes, you will. There they are. You will need to drill them out. So some modelling will be required, but I don't think that's too hard a task, really. Hobby Time says, hasn't the S1 got smaller intakes? Yes, it has. There we go. I was getting it mixed up with the Spitfire. That is being made in the UK. So it's been a long day, people. It's I'm a bit frazzed from the sun here and everything. And yeah, we got some people commenting on the price. The problem you got there, folks, is that kits these days are being produced to the production costs and economies of 2022, not 1994, not 1974. And it's price is always going to be an entirely subjective thing, because one person's acceptable. You've seen the arguments that erupt on modeling forums and things. So price is an entirely personal thing. I would say if you were going to be spending quite a lot of time building this model, and if if you're spending kind of like a month or 6 weeks getting this together, because you're not going to be able to rush this, then I'd say you're getting your money's worth. So that's it. Like I say, this was more a broadcast tonight just to make sure that everything is working here with the camera. It appears to be, except it's not working on the primary account. So we'll work that out anyway. So we should be back tomorrow night. I think we've got Mike Reeves on tomorrow night. I shall be getting on with some more of my big Spitfire, which I'm really enjoying at the moment. Which again, when you kind of look at what's being done in 2022 by Airfix and what was done back in 1970, I mean, that Spitfire, some of it is still, I'll show you, some of it is still mightily impressive for the age of this kit. And if we kind of go and have a look at the rear fuselage here, I mean, it's the rivets on the rear fuselage. Let's zoom in a bit. The rivets on the rear fuselage are actually gently raised, but the panel lines are all actually engraved. And the weird thing is that I wouldn't call it inconsistencies in the surface detail, but it almost does look like the stress skin of a Spitfire. It's probably not intentional, but it does. And I think this still looks amazing, kind of like 50 odd years later. And certainly when it came out, it would have been utterly revolutionary. And you can see here, this is just where I was cleaning the plastic from getting all the tape residue off. But you can see where you've got kind of like dirt and stuff has just collected into these into the engraved panel lines and whatever. And I think this is the first Airfix kit to actually have engraved panel lines. And again, you've got kind of here, you can see all that kind of fine rivet detail or whatever. So yeah, okay, it's a 50-year-old kit. That's the actual amount of cockpit detail and stuff is probably less than you get probably less than you get in a current Airfix 72nd scale Spitfire, let alone a 48 scale one. But I think the surface detail on this still looks absolutely top dollar. Yeah, so I'm really enjoying building this. There's a few hiccups and challenges, but nothing insurmountable. And I really want to get a wiggle on so I can actually start painting the thing. So anyway, that's it, folks. Yeah, so Tim says, thanks for the twofer on the Buccaneer. Yeah, I wanted to get that. I was just wanting to get that done properly this time because it means I can go and delete Sunday's video now. You know, and deal with that. Apart from that, we will be back tomorrow night. Like I say, I think we've got Mike Reeves is joining us, which would be good fun. So like I say, this was just a very improv and last minute one to do tonight. So until then, we'll see you tomorrow evening at 7:30 for our scheduled show. Until then, obviously, stay safe, stay out of trouble, and we'll see you then. Goodbye.